It was claimed this afternoon that Manchester United had a 40 million euro plus 5 million add-on bonuses bid officially rejected by Real Madrid. As we said at 5 p.m., this is not true. Manchester United's one and only official bid in the Rafael Varane deal will be accepted due to the level of work that is being done via the intermediaries to get this deal over the line. The base fee is agreed. All that's being worked on now are the legalities and more so the payment structure, length of time, and of course the situation involving bonuses and add-ons. No official bid has been rejected. This has now been doubly confirmed by Fabrizio Romano. Rafael Varane to Manchester United is still well and truly on course. In other news, Paul Pogba has reportedly rejected a £350,000 a week contract at Manchester United. We're going to delve into that and much, much more right now on the Football Terrace. Hit that like button, hit that share button. Here we go. Hello, welcome back to the Football Terrace. As we told you around 5 p.m. this afternoon, no truth at all in the official bid being rejected by Manchester United. Doesn't mean the news is false in the sense of United at some stage not offering 40 million euros plus 5 million in add-ons. I'm pretty sure Man United via the informal bid process or the formal inquiries process, very similar to that of Chelsea's approach recently for Haaland, did undergo things, but no official bid has been rejected by Real Madrid for Rafael Varane. The deal is still on course. There is nothing to be panicked about. There is nothing to be stressed about. As Dean Jones said to us over the last couple of days on the terrace, when that official bid goes in, it will become a matter of when and not if. But he also said, don't expect it to happen early in the week. When we came into sort of Tuesday morning, the kind of title of our show was asking that question, will it be done today? Will it be done this week? Most professionals felt that it would take a little bit longer. A lot of that is to do with the structuring of the deal and the legalities behind it. But he's going to be, as it stands right now, a Manchester United. There is no real pressure. There is no real stress on the club in relation to getting this deal done. So just remain relaxed about that, not stressed about that in any way, any shape or any form. Manchester United is still in a very, very comfortable position indeed. In other news this evening, Paul Pogba has reportedly rejected a new deal at Manchester United worth £350,000 per week, as people thought he would. A lot of people thought he would. He said the club are not going to offer him the ridiculous sum Mino is demanding. He'll run it down to a free, is what it says here, if PSG can't offer 50 million for him this summer. The valuation of 50 million pounds being put on his head. I'm not too sure personally. I haven't read what he's actually asking for, but it obviously seems to be a lot more than £350,000 per week. United are not going to do this. Maybe Paris Saint-Germain are. There is a big chance that contract runs down over the course of the year and he goes for a free next summer. That isn't Manchester United's preference, but it could just be the way this cookie crumbles with Paul. And as I said before, I'm not particularly happy with the way Manchester United Football Club have allowed the contract to get to this point. We're very damning of the way we operate with things. But having had a couple of conversations in the last 2 or 3 days with a couple of financial experts in the game, they've said just this become a pattern over the last 2 or 3 years of players where they're just, regardless of how well run a club is or poor a club is run, they're just not signing new deals. They don't want to tie themselves into a position to not be able to leave unless they're being compensated greatly. So Gini Wijnaldum at Liverpool is a prime example. Mo Salah looks like he's going to try and run his contract down now at Liverpool to get himself away. Kylian Mbappe, probably the most famous example at Paris Saint-Germain. You know, Liverpool are not deemed a poorly run club. Paris Saint-Germain are not deemed a poorly run club. Manchester United are suffering the same thing here with Paul Pogba. And the word on the street is expect that to continue. Don't expect this to be a flash in the pan. The superstar players don't need these long-term deals anymore. They're worth so much money off the field. In fact, it's predicted by a number of professionals in maybe 2 to 3 years' time, certain superstar football players will earn more through marketing, modeling, social media posts, and commercially outside of football than they can earn in the game. Of course, they need football. Football is what makes them so popular. If they suddenly stop playing, if tomorrow Pogba retired and he became an accountant, I don't think people would be as interested in his life. Like the football's a big part of it, but they can earn more. So for that reason, they don't need to tie themselves down to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-year deals. So it makes a lot of sense indeed. But I want your thoughts and your feelings. I've shared the link once before, but I'll share the link again now in the live comment sections. If you want to come on and if you want to have your say, no, that's not the link. I'm going to post the link again now in the live comment section. I'm just going to put it there. Sorry, excuse me. My wiring's all gone funny on here. I posted. It has been posted. I'll pin it. I'll change the pin over comment here as well. So that's all pinned up, ready for you. Poll running as well. Do you think Rafael Varane to Manchester United will be confirmed this week? Only 40% think yes, it will be confirmed before Sunday. Normally these works are not done at weekends. We're going to bring a few of the boys on here. A bit of a panel night tonight. I'm going to get Neeks and man like Daniel on in a few. I miss talking to my guys. And it was really cool to meet KJ today for the first time as well. Much bigger head than I thought he'd have in person. Like he had quite a big head. Like he's cranium when I say big, just thick. Do you know what I mean? Like you wouldn't want to get head-butted by KJ. Big head. I'm joking. It was cool to meet him. It was a really good day. I'm not even sure if he's back from Brum yet, but I left him in London about 7-ish and drove back. But we're going to bring the boys on now to have their say. We are going to take your calls as well. We want to hear from you. Paul Pogba rejecting a brand new deal of £350,000 per week, as we confirmed. And I'm not really like this with most deals, but the Rafael Varane deal this summer, I am on. I believe I know what's going on based on the sources that I have. And Man United are on course to do it. There was no official bid rejected. Relax your brains. The deal's on course. Let's bring these gentlemen on to have their say with me this evening. Daniel is here. Neeks is here. How are we doing, boys?
Yeah, I'm all right. It seems like a minute since I've been on there, isn't it?
Same.
I know, bruv. I know. I've seen you guys tweeting about Love Island and doing other things.
You ain't never seen me tweet about Love Island. I muted the word Love Island. I muted hashtag Love Island. I muted Kaz. Is there someone called Kaz? Is there someone called Tobias? I muted that. Anything I see that is Love Island related, I mute the word. I don't want it on my timeline.
Don't let Neeks come. Neeks watches it on his phone, like underneath the table, and like, you know, when dinner's on and everyone's doing their own thing. Neeks got it there. I know you have, Neeks, man.
Yeah. Do you know what? I watched it years back when it was celebrity. Do you remember when it was celebrities? And it was like celebrity. Yeah. Before see the format it's in now. This is the new format. Like since it came back with non-celebrities, but they did it for about 2 seasons years back. And like Lee Sharp and people like that were in the first season of it. So it was celebrity did it first. Yeah. And yeah, that's when I watched it. And then I watched the first season of it because my wife at the time loves that. Like my wife at the time, she was a kind of person that watched everything from Love Island to Real Celebrity Housewives of Cheshire and Berkshire or whatever those shows are called. Do you know what I mean? Sex and Cities. I don't know, like madness shows. Keeping up with the Kardashians, all those people, man. All them, like all that stuff she'd be watching. And it's like, you know, the worst part about it is if you start watching it, it is addictive. It's addictive.
Yeah, it is.
I just choose, even with things like X Factor now, I just choose not to watch them because I can't be dealing with all the nonsense around them. But there we go. Big football news today. The first one that came out today, boys, was bid rejected. Neeks, like from your point of view, when you read them kind of headlines, did you think they were true? Did you expect to see someone like Fabrizio come and, like a Don in the transfer market, like a Fabrizio or a Terry Flewers? Were you expecting them to come out and like put the news down?
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't see that news about a bid rejected because the last thing that I saw from Fabrizio and Terry Flewers, was that we were in discussion with Real Madrid. We were in direct contact with Real Madrid for a week, and that's as far as they're gone. I hadn't heard either one as state that we are putting a bid in. As far as I'm concerned, this deal is on now. Maybe I did see something. Was that about because they wanted 70 million or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I did see that, but that was after I saw the Fabrizio one. I'm like, well, if it ain't coming from a top source, one who's been not even just a top source, but one that's been constantly updating us, yourselves on the Done Deal show, Fabrizio Romano have been consistently updating us on this news. Then someone out of left field just comes with this news. It's like, well, where were you a week ago? Where were you when Varane decided that he wanted to join Man United? You can't just try coming now with some breaking news. So as far as I'm concerned, even if a bid was rejected, that's promising for me because it means we're in negotiation and we're willing to put in a fee. But we know that's not how the transfer works. We're not going to put in an official bid that we know that's not going to be accepted. We're going to keep talking. We're going to keep talking until we say, okay, this bid is going to be accepted. Let's put in the bid. How many bids for Man United were rejected for Jadon Sancho this summer? None. Because we didn't put in the bid until we knew that they'd accept 73 million. And so I'm not expecting any real hiccups with this Varane deal, to be honest.
Me either. Unless Varane changes his mind, it's as done can be. It's just them things now. What I'm getting a bit frustrated with is all the updates that seem to be coming out are sort of like false. Like and the maddest thing is, the last 2 days I've predicted what the headlines the next day are going to be, or like within a few hours, because it's obvious. It's almost like I said yesterday, they'd be talking about doubling wages. That's why Man United East agreed terms and they're doubling his wages. We're not paying him. He gets paid over nearly 11 million. We're not giving him nearly 22 million pounds a year. We're not making him like the third or fourth highest paid football player in the world. He just isn't getting that. So like there's bullshit there. Then when this Varane news come out, I said, listen, it isn't happening. And within a couple of hours, you'll see Tier 1 come out and say no official bid's gone in. And what happens? They're playing a game with it now because they're like with Sancho. When we were sitting here talking about how it's just legalities and deal structure they're working on. That's the irony is that's the stuff I cared about. I'd love to understand what's going on now over those debates, but no one cares about that. It's like, we're gonna have to, 2 weeks ago they put a preliminary bid in of 40 million. So we just run that story like it happened 5 minutes ago. But there we go. Daniel, in other news tonight, Paul Pogba rejects a £350,000 a week deal at United. Were you surprised by that, or do you expect him to turn down any new deals?
I don't really know, man. Paul Pogba's like...
Can't hear you properly.
You need to get near your mic, I think, bro.
One sec.
Go closer to your mic.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm basically saying that I'm not sure. The situation with Paul Pogba for me is an interesting one because we know the talent that is Paul Pogba. We know how good he can be on his day. Arguably, if not the best, one of the top 3 midfielders in the world when he's playing at his best. And it's almost come to a stage where what more can he achieve at Man United? He's been there for about how many years now? I believe it's been like 5 years. I would say he's had one outstanding season where it was a section of the season where he was like out of this world. He has played well, like in bits. I think that's what gets lost in translation, but he hasn't been an 80 million pound player. Like he was supposed to be one of the people to revolutionize Man United, bring the titles back and whatnot, and it hasn't really gone to plan. However, what I would say is that United seemingly are looking at building the team that Pogba has wanted for so long, but has it come too late? I don't know, because Pogba might look at the project at PSG and look, you know what, playing with Neymar and Mbappe might be a better thing for me in terms of my long-term legacy, Champions League aspirations and all of that kind of stuff. So it's a weird one because it's not as simple as, oh, I want to play for Man United because they're the biggest club in the Premier League. I want to play in the Premier League. There's a lot. It all depends on Paul Pogba. What does Paul Pogba want to do with his football career? Like, does he want to stay at Man United, play with Jadon Sancho, the Rashfords of this world, who I still believe have a bit of nurturing to do? They're top young talents, but they still haven't matured into their prime self, and rightly so. They shouldn't have. Like, they're still very young. Does he want to be a part of that project, being 28, 29, I think he is, or does he want to go to PSG, play with Mbappe, Neymar, Verratti, Donnarumma's just been signed, Hakimi. That's a star-studded team there, and he can be the missing piece to their puzzle as well in their midfield in terms of bringing a Champions League. So it's really about Paul Pogba, man.
I agree. I don't blame Paul Pogba for wanting to leave, and I was even saying, I was on my stream just before this. Even if he had come here and won 3 Premier Leagues in the Champions League, how can I begrudge a man who wants to go and do something different, do something else? His plan, from what we hear, was always to join Man United, hopefully be successful, and then leave, maybe to go Real Madrid after a few years. Varane is leaving Real Madrid after winning 4 Champions Leagues and 2 or 3 league titles, I think it might be. So regardless of how successful you are, a player still might want new pastures, new challenges. And I think the only problem, or the only, in terms of Man United fan, is that we didn't, it's not about building a team around Paul Pogba, but we didn't build a team that was capable of winning the major trophies whilst Paul Pogba was here. Because Paul Pogba is a winner. And when you have winners in your club, you need to make the most of that and the time that they're here. So that's the only disappointment for me. I think there's a lot of talk about, if Paul Pogba leaves, Man United will finish. Well, a lot of people are saying Man United's finished anyway. Like, we haven't won a trophy in 4 years. We ain't won a Champions League. We ain't won a league in 8 years. We ain't won a Champions League in 13 years. So it's not like the last 5 years of Paul Pogba has been a trophy-laden 5 years. And when he leaves, he's going to take all the trophies with him, like, say, a Cristiano Ronaldo did when he left. It's not that. Of course, replacing Paul Pogba as an individual is nigh on impossible. But Man United will be here. The most important thing is to go out and strengthen the squad, and that's how the way I'm looking at it, whether Paul Pogba leaves this summer or leaves next summer.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know what for me stands out massively with this? Is one, I don't begrudge him. I don't even think it's about Man United not achieve. I'm just starting to feel like it's not even about us not achieving what Pogba wanted us to achieve. I think, as you said, I think if we'd have won 2 or 3 league titles in this last 5-6 years, I still think he'd be looking to go at this point. We're seeing this pattern more and more with players now, where they want to achieve, they want to do things at 2 or 3 clubs. There's a certain goat that's gone around and done that, and maybe others want to follow suit. I think we're also forgetting he's a Paris boy, isn't he? He's Parisian. He's from Paris. You know, what better way to end your career than with the club from your home city where you're from? And you go there, and maybe you're part of the team that wins them their first ever Champions League. We talk about legacy in the game. That's a huge legacy. You've got Mo Salah running his contract down now at Liverpool. It isn't about disrespect, and it isn't about anything being wrong with Liverpool. That's just not the end of his journey. He wants to go to another status club and do great things there to cement an even deeper legacy into the game. I've got no issues with it. My concern is who we replace him with. Now, been very impressed with Myrtle and Fletcher so far this summer in the speed and the accuracy and the sort of diligence around their work, which has been excellent. You see where we've kind of pounced on this Leon Goretzka situation. I wouldn't say a bid, but a light offer's gone in to Bayern Munich, almost to let them know we're there. Let's see what happens. You know, if he turns down that big contract again, he might turn down the contract at Bayern Munich and say, I want to move on and try something different after 3 years. You know, this summer with Varane has ended. I know he hasn't signed yet, but for me, Varane has ended. There's one certain comment that can never come out of the mouths anymore of football fans. Why would a player leave here to go there? They just do. There's things they want to achieve that are just outside fan remit. They're not to do with fans. They're to do with football legacy. And I think this is it. So I think right now I'm about 60% sure that he'll go. Interestingly, Peter O'Rourke that we had on this morning's Done Deal show, he actually thinks the other way. He thinks he'll stay, but then leave for free next year.
I think I'm actually 50-50 about whether he stays or not. He's not going to be here for the start of the 2022-23 season, because that would mean him signing a new contract, and I can't see that happening. Players nowadays, and Daniel would know, he watches NBA much more than I do and follows it, where players understand the power that they have. And I think more and more we're seeing in football players understanding their value, their commercial value, and like, well, no, I don't need to sign. Some of them fall into it, but I don't need to sign a 5-year, 6-year deal. No, I'll sign a 1 or 2-year deal, or I'll run down my contract in terms of football and go and get a big contract elsewhere because there's teams out there who are willing to pay it. Whereas back in the days, it was the clubs, or in basketball, the franchises who held the power in terms of negotiating new contracts. So I think players like Paul Pogba, Gini Wijnaldum, Varane, Goretzka, Thiago, etc., are more than willing to run down their contracts to the last year or so, knowing Herrera, Rabiot, Ramsey, knowing that there's a club out there who's willing to pay them 400,000 a week, 500,000 a week.
Even to that point, like I was on a Chelsea stream with some of the like Chelsea content creators, and we were talking a lot about transfers and whatnot. And one of the things that I mentioned was Chelsea fans are deluded if they think Kai Havertz is staying at Chelsea for like 10 years, like trying to cement some sort of Chelsea legacy and be this Chelsea. No, he's here to try and build up a level of status to a certain point, and then go on to the next challenge and go to the next status club where he can build on his legacy. I even feel the same a bit about Werner. Like these guys, like we're not in the age of where people care about. And I'd use the word loosely because it's supposed to be a positive word, but I use it very, very loosely. Like loyalty isn't a thing. Like we've seen the way clubs have treated players in the past, and now players understand what it is. So they're now looking at clubs from a business perspective too.
Yep.
So we can't disrespect them because clubs have been looking at players from a business perspective for a long time. So players are now doing the same thing. So we can't.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is why, like the other day, I was on a thread of someone just on Twitter, and I was like, "Yeah, I agree. Like, Man United have been a big problem as to why Paul Pogba's left." And actually, I've been reflecting on it the last few days, and I don't like defending Woodward, and I don't like defending Judges. I don't like defending any of the kind of fools that took my club backwards. But I don't necessarily think there's anything they could have done about this. It's a trend now in the game, and you're right. Players know their value. And players like Paul Pogba don't even, the contract isn't there. Like, he earns more money outside of football almost than he does within the game. If not, it's going to very soon, like etch over into that area. You got to remember a Instagram post. They charge about £500,000 for an Instagram post. If the man does one a week, he's earning more money than he earns at Man United. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a huge amount of money. I think one thing that Man United fans are forgetting, the Ollie Outers that are saying the club's dead if we leave, is they're giving Ollie a really good get out of jail free card if he leaves. It's like on a debate level as fans. I'm literally every Man United fan that I know is an Ollie Outer who says we're dead as a club if he leaves. I have screenshot those tweets. So if he leaves and then they moan about Ollie, I'm like, whoa, you said the club's dead. What's Ollie meant to do with a dead club? Do you know what I mean? Is he like Jesus? He's gonna resurrect this thing or whatever, bro? Like, it ain't happening. So yeah, look, Man United are not dead if this happens, and it's gonna happen again. It's one of the reasons as well, though, boys, why I know like Chelsea fan base has got a bit of a war with this at the minute, but it's why holding on to your homegrown youth academy players is so important, because they have a tendency to want to stay, and they've got to be good enough to win you league. I'm not saying don't sign a world-class striker because Tammy's a youth player. Like, I'm not saying that to that degree, but like sometimes you might have two midfielders, say Fred and McTominay. I think McTominay can be kept at the club for longer in a better capacity and kept happy more so than a Fred would, as an example. If you've got a world-class number 10 and a almost world-class one who's an academy player, I would understand clubs, maybe if this trend continues, saying, you know what, we're going to side with the Mason Mount here, because Mason Mount doesn't ever want to leave us, where actually Kai Havertz in 3 or 4 years may. And that's why the Haaland deal is interesting. I think Chelsea are very, very aware that the maximum amount of time they're going to keep Haaland for is 4 to 5 years. I actually think they're aware of that at this point, because he's going to want to go to another status club after Chelsea, because he's going to want to do it. But he's worth 150 mil, because you're going to get 250 mil when you sell him, and he might win you a few league titles along the way. I think you're absolutely right. Football is changing massively, and it's going to be very, very intriguing to see how it continues. It really is. Viewers, we're going to go to your calls in a few moments. Time to speak to myself, Danny Boy, and Neeks. Make sure you smash the like button. But what is really interesting, it was confirmed today the best signing of the summer has been made today, boys. You heard about it.
Who's that?
Back on the football terrace for at least 2 shows a week when we're in the studio. Javern, can you capture this? Back at the terrace doing these things. So all the new people in the last 2 years have no idea who Javern is. You'll find out very, very soon. Studio settings are plenty.
Brilliant stuff.
Yes, so yeah, Javern is back. We were out to lunch today, me and Javern, KJ. We got taken out by the lovely people at Snack. It was a good day. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. Remember, if you never want to miss any more notifications from the Football Terrace ever again, we've got a brand new Telegram group chat that's open. The link for it is outside our description below. We send you out the links every single time we're about to go live. You'll get no spam in there. You'll get no issues in there. You'll get no kind of nonsense in there. Set your account, set your account to privacy mode so that nobody can see your details either. But sign up and make sure you never miss a Football Terrace notification ever again.
Terry, I think quickly before we went, in terms of possible replacements. Now, obviously, I see in the caption you've got Neves update. Ruben Neves, Saul Niguez. Now, I know the Saul Niguez could possibly go to Barcelona, but that's not a certainty. For me, if we could get those 2 players, and maybe it's fantasy football, I don't know. Neves is how much? 35, 40 million. Saul Niguez is, 45? I believe. I think that's the number I've heard kind of touted about. So you're spending around 70, maybe 80 million to get 2 players who, for me, especially if Paul Pogba leaves this summer, who are first choice central midfielders. And I think they will give us more balance in that midfield pivot than any midfield that we've had since, God knows, since, I don't know, what's his name, Matic could run, maybe since then. But I think if we could get those 2 players, then even losing Paul Pogba, again, no single player can replace Paul Pogba. But with Jadon Sancho, with Rafael Varane, and those 2 there, I think we're in a better place going into the season than we were at the start of last season with a Paul Pogba partnering McTominay or Fred.
Do you know what it comes down to? I love Paul Pogba, but who knows how good. This is why the people crying about it, I have no time for. One, they never actually focus on the running of the club behind the scenes. It's a major problem when it comes to them attacking a particular manager. And now it's like the world's ending. Who knows? This could be Man United's Coutinho moment. We could become a better, more balanced team with Paul Pogba leaving. And that's nothing to do with Pogba being bad. It just means with the variety of players we have, it just Ruben Neves could come in and something just clicks. It just, the team works. The team just works better. So I'm not disheartened by it. It's who comes in. I do understand that there's going to be some movement around the Ruben Neves situation in the next few days. Nobody quite knows what yet, but I've heard that's on its way. Yes, Danny. You're on mute, bro.
You need to kick me out when I do stuff like this. I always do that. I have a question for both of you, United fans. I did this with a couple of the other United fans, and it actually caused an argument. So I need to see if you guys are on the same page. Do you think, going forward, in terms of the success of Man United, of course it matters on who you bring in, but are you better off without Paul Pogba, without the conundrum of how to fit him into your team?
No. And I say that in the sense that if Paul Pogba leaves tomorrow and we've got the same midfield, we are not better. Because you might say, oh, it's easier. We can just put McTominay and Fred together in a partnership. It don't work. So losing Paul Pogba doesn't strengthen us. The only thing that strengthens us, whether Paul Pogba stays or not, is going out and buying midfielders. So if Paul Pogba stays, we got to go out and get a defensive midfielder. If Paul Pogba leaves, we still got to go out and get a defensive midfielder plus one other. So no, I don't think Paul Pogba leaving makes us a better side. It might make it clearer in Ollie's mind about what he's going to do, but the results on the pitch ain't necessarily going to reflect that.
Yeah, I agree with large parts of that. It really depends who comes in and how that looks. But there is the possibility, like I've said, that there's more balance. If you, for instance, I'm just going to throw the names in there of say, Saul Niguez and Ruben Neves. Say we signed both of them this summer, or we brought in Neves and Goretzka. Like this is utopia time, but say we do. Maybe that provides them as a partnership is a better double pivot than Pogba and Fred, Pogba and McTominay, Pogba and Matic. So as a team, we play better. That could happen. I think to deny that would show you've never watched football before. You know, we've always players leave teams and then teams improve. Think, how did that happen? You know what I mean? Chelsea, you know, the two best seasons of their lifetimes that have won the Champions League were literally sandwiched between the Hazard period. Now, that doesn't mean Hazard is a bad player, but you won the Champions League twice without him. Manchester United, one of the best strikers we've ever had in our history, was Ruud van Nistelrooy. One league title in the time that he was here. Look what we did the 3 years after he left. We did a three-peat. So it's sometimes teams can get better by losing someone who's brilliant because it creates a better togetherness. But it's about who's there. The reason we improved after Ruud van Nistelrooy is because we had an emerging Cristiano Ronaldo, Wayne Rooney coming to his own. We actually did brilliantly in bringing Michael Carrick into that team to solidify and give the team that balance in midfield that we hadn't really had since Roy Keane left. So to answer that question, it's about the replacements, and those replacements click, we can become a better team. There's no doubt about it. I've seen it happen to Chelsea. I've seen it happen to Man United before. So I'm just intrigued to see who comes in on what. One thing I reject is the notion that Man United have finished if we lose Paul Pogba. That is, I mean, I'm the king of clickbait and hyperbolic statements, but that takes the biscuit for people to say that one there, boys. Charlie Brown asking for a recap. There was a big report this afternoon that Man United had a bid for Rafael Varane rejected, an official bid. This is false. This is wrong. This did not happen. There was no bid made. Sorry, it was a big moth. Big old moth in here. They're fine though. They can't hurt you. They ain't got teeth. The second bit of news is reportedly this evening, the Mirror have said that Paul Pogba's turned down a new contract of Man United worth £350,000 per week. So we're discussing both those situations. If you want to speak about anything else, let us know. We're going to go to some calls here. Of course, Harry Winks trending as well, seemingly on his way to Everton. Last summer, Everton were buying players where we were all like, wow, Andros Townsend and now Harry Winks. Like, how the world has changed in one or Everton. It's mad. Like, that man's just signing James Rodriguez, Allen. Last year, you were like, wow, look at their buy-in. A year later, honestly, bruv, life can hit you hard. It's like last year, I went and bought a Range Rover. I've had to part exchange the car in. What you bought? Like a full Fiesta. 8 years old. Like, it's a fine car, but when you go from the Range to a Ford Fiesta, finesse. It's the finesse as well. You know the one where if a stone hits the side, the whole fucking car rattles. You know what I mean? There's no padding. That's my first car. I loved that car until I went over a gravel path and the car's going to fall apart. Madness. Right, first caller on the show. What is Leaf holding up? We're going to get Leaf on. He's literally holding paper up. I don't know what that paper was saying. Leaf, what you saying?
Yeah, sorry to not talk about United, but basically the deal of Romero from Atalanta to Spurs is basically done. So I thought I just wanted to tell you. So yeah, it's done. Di Marzio confirmed it like 1 hour ago. So yeah, and it will be like 50 million euros. So that's good news for Tottenham.
Is Davinson Sanchez involved in that deal at all?
No, he's not involved. But Sevilla are interested in him, and well, that's it. I mean, we got our star center back, so that's very good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about him. I know Man United were linked. It's one of those interesting ones that United we nearly signed him.
Yeah, I know.
And then we obviously went and got the best centre back in the world, and it's like levels. But you must be happy because you really needed a centre back at Spurs, didn't you?
Yes, I'm very happy, and because he's the best centre back in Serie A. He was voted the best defender in Serie A last year, and many Italian experts and so many Serie A fans.
Is he better than like Chiellini and Bonucci and them, man?
He's not better. I mean, he definitely had a better season than them last year. He was the best season. He was the best defender last season. He won the award. I mean, you can talk to many Italian journalist experts. Like, he's not better than them, but I guess yes, he had a better season, and he's 23.
Mm.
And I think it's a bit funny because Arsenal go for Ben White, £50 million. And we go for Romero, one of the best defenders in Serie A, for the same price.
Yeah,
No,
Same age also.
He's a good centre back.
Yeah,
And Atalanta have been, and when you consider the way that Atalanta even play their football, they're very attacking. Like they're very attacking. I think they're in the last 3 years they've scored like the most goals. I think they've even broke a record, not the last season before, for the most goals scored in a Serie A season. So he has to definitely do a lot of individual one-on-one defending.
Yeah, and
I think they finished in the top 3 the last 3 years as well. So no, it's a good signing.
yeah, and he is the most aggressive center back in the world. He has the most interceptions out of anyone, and like if you see him play, it's crazy. He's so aggressive, so powerful, so fast too. So
Well,
it's
you know,
exactly what we needed.
You know what's really interesting? Like, I'm a fan of your manager is in Nuno. I just felt like it's crazy, isn't it, in football, like trends. You know, up until last season, everyone was talking about Nuno this, Nuno that. He had a bad season and suddenly he was poor again. You got a very good manager, in my opinion. You signed this young lad, I'm going to say it right, Gil. Okay,
Yes.
Brian Gil. I'm just going to call him Bazza. I was going to call him Brian.
Brian is good, yeah.
Yeah, Big B. You sign him, very talented. Romero, as you've said, very good, top level defender. You suddenly start to look at Tottenham, maybe if they keep Harry Kane, and you think, are they back in a top 4, like in a top 4 race again to make that? Because at the moment, most people would say it's 4 teams that are making top 4. That's it. Everton losing Ancelotti, no one's really talking about them. Or West Ham really going to push again. You've got like Leicester as well that are going into that race. So Leicester make it a 5-team race for those top positions. You know, you start looking at Spurs, a couple more of the right signings. You bring in like a Danny Ings and a few others. Suddenly, you're looking like you're at it again in the space of a few weeks. What's your thoughts, Dan, in terms of Tottenham and what they're doing? Do you think they're like close to being ready to like challenge for the top 4?
I think it's very tough because
Danny,
top 4.
Danny.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Nah, that's cool. That's cool, bro. Nah, fam, I agree. Look, I've been a closet. You get a new manager.
Call it Spurs fan.
No.
Daniel's in the closet. What's going on? We broke down the here.
Nah. Let's not do that. But now, man, in the closet, I've been saying that. Look, you get a new manager like Nuno who wants to try new things. Go to a club like Tottenham, you implement a back 5 system, and we've seen what the back 5 does sometimes when you first implement it. It can really reap wonders, especially making players who aren't really that good seem better. One thing that I always said that differentiated Tuchel's system to Conte's is that Tuchel still needs quality. Conte kind of works with guys who are just unorthodox and only work because he gets them to do what he needs them to do and whatnot. So, yeah, I think Nuno can do the same thing. He can come in, fresh ideas, play that back 5 system, provide a better solidity. You got this. You got Romero coming in as a centre back. I think he walks into the starting lineup straight away as well, into the centre of that defence. And then you got the front 3 still. You got Kane, you got Son, and you can pick between Lucas. It depends on who else they get as well. I think they will still need like a midfielder, Sissoko, Winks. Who else plays in the middle? Højbjerg, someone to partner Højbjerg possibly. Don't think Ndombele is going to really be seeing much time on the pitch, if I'm honest. But look, you never know, man. You never know.
What's the space when it comes to Spurs' midfield as well with Frank Esse? That's a player they've done a lot of work around him already. I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen. And you suddenly throw him into the mix. Suddenly you start looking at Spurs, and if they keep Harry Kane, and you start to think to yourself, like, I don't know, as a Man United fan, you kind of just, up until these couple of signings, you kind of brush them aside. They're all somehow getting rejected by managers. They suddenly bring in a manager. They sign a few players, and you're like, shit.
Well, I think Kane is the key. If Kane goes, then no, we're not getting top 4. Yeah. Impossible, because it's not like you're signing Haaland to replace him. Like, it's not. It's Danny Ings at best. So, and respect to Danny Ings, anyway, he's not Harry Kane. I think, Kane is the only chance of getting top 4. But as a Man United fan, I want them to keep Kane. Yeah, challenge for top 4. I'd rather them challenge for top 4 with Kane than Man City run away with the league with Kane. like, I got to pick my poison, and I think I can deal with Spurs on our back then. Man City just in the distance. So keep Kane in that.
No doubt about it. Listen, Lee, thanks very much, mate, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it, buddy. If you want, anybody else wants to phone up and have their say, the link is in the comments section. Next on the show, we're going to go to Marvin. Marvin's coming on to have his say. Welcome to the Terrace. Who do you support, Marvin?
Terry. Can you hear me?
Yes, my brother. Who do you support?
I support Man United. I've been here before twice, isn't it? You didn't remember me from last season?
Brother, I take a lot of calls. I speak to a lot of man every day. I'm very, very sorry, Marv.
Yeah. See,
Give me
Mr.
what
Nick's
you here to
laughing
talk
there.
about?
Well, I came to talk about the Varane and the Pogba issue. Yeah. One, the Varane one, I'm not panicking. I don't know. I'm not just going to jump out there and say, hey, Man United have signed this player. Until we sign a player, I'm not going to disrespect the other club and say the player is ours, because ultimately we don't want people talking about our players that way also. So I'm just going to wait till the day he's holding the shirt or the day they break the news to say we've agreed deal and all that. Then I can be cast or a bit happy about that, because I wanted him to come in, to be fair. Then if you go to the Pogba issue, I'm not here to shade Pogba or anybody, but I need a lot of us United fans. My man at the top, you see him smiling there. You see, sometimes you people throw shade at Fred and all these guys. I would rather, I'm saying this categorically, I would rather have Fred walking his socks off in that midfield, showing me heart and mind, that he wants to play, than having Pogba in that place.
Yes,
I mean, you're giving this guy 350k apparently, because we don't know the truth too. We don't know what they are giving him. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, Man United offer Pogba 350k, but I'm telling you 100%, Pogba does not deserve 250k in that
team. Clip him up. Clip him up. Clip him up.
It doesn't, because let's be fair, everybody now, look, Bruno has been in the league 1.5 season, He has scored more goals. He has almost, I think, more assists, even if you put together for the 1.5 season, for the entirety of when Pogba has been in United, from his childhood days and his adolescent days, put together. And yet, people will be like, Pogba is the best player in Man United. How is he the best player, man? Come on, man. Let's be fair. It's just the status.
Marvin, let me ask you a question. What do you say to all the Man United fans who despise Bruno because he scores and out assists and outscores Paul Pogba? They say it's all about technique, it's all about technical ability. What's your response to people that still think Pogba, in the time Bruno's been here, has outperformed Bruno Fernandes? What's your opinion on that, bro?
They should wake up from their dreams, because at the end of the day, the stats, the goals, look, the evidence is there for you to see. Bruno hasn't spent long time. Look, when Bruno came here, let me clarify this for these people. When Bruno came, I'm a diehard Man United fan. I go to games. I do all of this shit. I play football before also myself. I've been there. You understand me? When Bruno came into this team, Pogba, you remember, Pogba was faking, I will tell you this straight up, he was faking injuries in Dubai. He was faking injuries, but he was going to weddings. The man who can't walk, he can dance, he can do other stuff. In Dubai and everywhere, Man United gave him that leeway to do a lot of things. I think we support him actually, And these deluded fans, some of them, they still come here and protect this guy. Like, you don't protect other players like that. You don't protect Anthony Martial, who sometimes unfairly was taken out by Mourinho. Mourinho destroyed Martial. Let's be fair. But I don't want to come about that. I just want to go on this Pogba defense team that we have in this country at the moment. Pogba defense is too much. Listen, the guy is a good player, but good players make other people better. This excuse of, let's get people of his caliber around him. Let me ask you one question. N'Golo Kante, apart from work rate, tell me what other thing that people actually see that N'Golo Kante is this world class. He does a good job of protecting Pogba's mistake. People want that stuff. Fred does that. Sometimes McTominay, I see the abuse they get. These guys, whether you like it or not, they play through injuries, through everything. They play. We should start appreciating people for the job they do, rather than making this stupid comparison for years and years and years. Pogba has been there now for 5 seasons and counting. We've not seen anything. People say, when Pogba leave, Man United is this. Look, it's only there for the commercial reasons. That's all.
Marvin, listen, I appreciate you coming on and having your opinion. It sounds like you feel better, like cathartic. It's getting it off your chest.
Seriously, man, I've been listening to people, not just, look, Terry, I come to your channel. I'm a member of the United Stand. You understand? I'm a big member there. I started there. But when I come to your channel, I come here to get a break. I listen and I get fresh insights every day because in my other side, let me cut some things out so that it don't look like, you know, yeah. A lot of people talk BS. It's all about Tony Martial fans group or Rashford or Pogba or what's it called, Bruno. No. Some days you need to listen to when certain people say certain things that are very true to your soul. Like me, I don't want to die young. I'm a young man. Like I keep hearing people making me panic. United fans should stop making each other panic. Believe in what the club is going to do. They are not stupid. The club is not just there for because they've been making mistake. We can count on their mistake all you want, but Man United being sustained as a club, yeah, and as a piece of history, it's not because the people running the club are stupid. We know the Glazers did whatever they are doing, but this club does not surround just one player. We've seen players come and go before. Long time.
I hear that. Listen, bro, I can see that in your picture you're wearing the United stand kit. Do you fancy a transfer to the Football Terrace?
Of course, man. Seriously, I'm telling you straight up, man. I shoot straight. I want to transfer here because I was even going to say something to you, but I don't know how to get onto you that much, you know. I don't know. You used to have one of my guy here before, Aaron, but I don't see him anymore, so I don't know what's up. You know, if you want to have me, yeah, 100%, I'm ready. I'm ready to move in. Yeah. The reason you saw me with that kit, I was playing for the team also before. Also, that was why.
Ah, okay. Listen, bro, I like the cut of your jib. Send me a DM, bro. We'll get you on again. Top guy.
No problem,
cheers,
bro.
Marvin. Thank you very much indeed. And sorry, mate. I didn't mean to cut you there. Sorry, Bob. Yeah, Aaron's still about. Aaron's just doing his own thing, brother. Aaron's still, you know, on. We're actually seeing Aaron on the
7th.
On the 7th for the Football Terrace meetup. He's coming down from Manchester. He's out with us having a few drinks. So yeah, Aaron is cool, brother.
Is that illegal tapping up there?
Is that, yeah, it's happening. I don't have a football team. Really play I'm going to sign him. Who am I playing against? You come have a kick about with the kids. The kids need a babysitter. I don't know, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? I like that guy. He made me laugh. He made me laugh, bro. The rolling of the R's was the best bit as well. Ready. I was like, yes, I love that. I love it. I love that. Go on, Nix. No,
I'll say he made a lot of sense. I don't agree with everything that he said. You know, that Kante prop, put that away. Not around me anyway. No, I'm joking. I know Daniel was loving it. I was like, no, but I like Kante. But no, I agree with a lot of what he said. I don't agree with kind of the notion that Paul Pogba hasn't performed in the 5 years that he's been here. And because Fred runs around more, he preferred that than Pogba. And it's like different players have different attributes. So you're not going to, Paul Pogba's never going to do that. He never did it for Juve. He doesn't do it for France. And he doesn't do it for Man United. Yet he's been successful at Juve and he's been successful at France. And yes, we can say, oh, he had Kante there at France. He's had, you know, Pirlo, Marcusio, etc. At Juve. But he was a big contributor in those teams. It wasn't like they were carrying him. They did their job and he did his job.
Needs to like simmer through like all the things that he said. Of course, like a lot of the things he said, I don't agree with as well. However, one key thing that I can deduce from what he said, and I actually agree with it, as harsh as it sounds, Paul Pogba is the only player in the world that I see from Man United fans and other fans as well that is world class without ever having to prove that he's world class, because he's got all that talent. He shows it on his day. No, deep it. Like think about it like this. Hazard, yeah, for example, with Chelsea, yeah, it's a very, very tough example, I know, but just try and work with me in it. Because he's a winger, he's an attacker, he's closer to the goal as well, so more was expected from him. Hazard was like, he didn't play under great teams all the time. I personally think he only played with one very, very good team. For all the money Chelsea had, I think the Costa Fabregas, that link up, that was his best team. And even then, there were times where Mourinho was still playing Azpilicueta on the wing in a Champions League semi-final, 7 defenders around him, when we had all that amount of talent around. So for me, like, it's the excuse that the body of work since Pogba has been at Man United is 1 Europa League and 1 League Cup and a couple of top 4 finishes. Paul Pogba is the best player at Man United. He's had a number of injuries. Availability is the best ability, and he's not always around. Then on top of that, you add to the fact that when he is around, he's not always consistently the best player on the pitch, whether it be indirectly or directly. So then when you put those two things together, that's when fans like I forgot his name will get frustrated. And that's why I understand, bro. If I had Paul Pogba and he did what he's been doing at Man United, let me not lie to you, I'll be frustrated as well because I know there's so much more there.
You see, with me, and I don't agree with the fans who, as he mentioned, overly protect certain players and players who have done more in the time that, say, Paul Pogba's been here, don't get the same protection. For me, you either protect all your players the same, or you feed them to the wolves exactly the same. You don't pick and choose based on just who you like. There must be some kind of meritocracy in terms of who gets the more defense. You know, last season, Rashford had a poor second half of the season, and Bruno wasn't as good in the second half as he was in the first. But them two were carrying us for the first half of the season that even put us in a position of a title race. That if people then want to criticize Bruno and Rashford, but don't want to criticize Martial, for example, I'm like, no, Bruno and Rashford deserve the protection because they're putting the work that allows me to say, well, you know what, they can fall back on that. Someone else needs to step up. And I would agree that Paul Pogba hasn't deserved the level of protection that he gets from some Man United fans. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve any, because I think a lot of criticism that he gets is unfounded and unfair. So he does deserve some. Yeah. But the levels at which they go and protect him compared to, say, a Rashford or a Bruno in the same time that have been here, I think is, I don't know where it comes from. Yeah. I understand the frustration there.
I think for me, what I found with Paul Pogba, there are handfuls of Pogba FC that I think they could catch him sleeping with their girlfriends and wives, and they still wouldn't have a bad word to say about him. So I as a person now, I just don't listen to those individuals because there's no objectivity in their thoughts. So it's just, I know what you're gonna. The point is, I know what you're gonna say. So there's no point me listening to you. I know it already, right? Imagine watching a film where you already know the ending. Why would you do it unless it's a classic? I mean, these guys they're not saying anything groundbreaking, believe me. So I think criticism of Pogba is right at certain times. I think some people, though, protect him a lot because a lot of the abuse that he's had has been around haircuts and dancing, and of course people have pulled on him because of the color of his skin and the religion that he follows. So I think some people will be overprotective, and it's interesting. A lot of the things that Marvin came on and said, we all know that if I sat here and complained about certain things, I would be labeled. I would have a pejorative thrown at me, xenophobic or racist for criticizing him on that. Marvin, on the other hand, isn't going to face that same kind of scrutiny for saying it. So there are some people that even want to criticize Pogba, but they don't feel like they can because they're scared of being labeled. And it's because a lot of the Pogba conversation, and this is not Paul Pogba's fault, has gone away from being about football. And then poisonously, in a very venomous way, a lot of those same Pogba people want to throw criticism at Fernandes because they want to even out the balance. They want to take some attention away from Pogba. And it's just become this. The one thing I will enjoy about Paul Pogba leaving isn't Paul Pogba leaving. It's the fact that we don't need to listen to this. It's the first time I've seen it at football club to this degree, where you've got two very, very good, two top-class football players, but we should just be happy that we have them both. And Man United fans get triggered because one group think one is better than the other. My whole life, I had friends that were United fans. I thought Giggs was better than Scholes, and Beckham was better than I don't know, but Beckham was better than Giggs, and Keane was better than Scholes, and York was better than Andy Cole. But no one cared. It was like, oh, great, I love them guys as well. It's become toxic now, and I think for me, I understand elements of it because you want to protect people. Like the whole country came to the aid of Rashford, Saka, and Sancho, and rightfully so. But I think you're being completely disrespectful to those individuals now if you don't allow people to criticize them on a football level. I think that's treating them like they've got a disability or like they're children. They're not. They're grown men, and they want to. I remember listening to Jesse Lingard speak, and he said they want to feel the sharp tongue of people's criticism when they're playing poorly. They just don't want the reason that they're playing poorly to be labeled back to something that's cultural or immutable about them. So I think we need to be able to distinguish the difference between those two things. And hopefully that will sort of deter people from unnecessary defending or sort of like trying to make the fan base hate on another player just as much. That's always felt like a weird thing to me. If you want to teach people not to hate, you don't stop people hating on people by making them hate someone else.
Yeah.
Like, it's a mad, like, it's just logically to me, it's like, that doesn't make sense. You know, like sometimes you hear the media and it's like someone will have a story printed when there's a bad accusation. And it's like, why don't you do this to all players? No, why don't you do it to none? It's the other way. Don't do it to any of them and keep things until we know. But that's just my take on things. We've got Cam with us now. We're going to bring on to have his say. Cam, what's going on, bro?
What's up, boys? How you doing?
Good.
Let me move my mic. Sorry, I don't think it's in the right spot. Cool. So, is this honestly? I just tuned in, seeing Pogba rejected his reportedly. So
yeah,
I remain in the same camp, and I'll continue to say it. Unless we get a shit ton of money, like a lot of money, for Paul Pogba, don't sell him. I don't care. Cool, run down your contract. Like, is the 40 million we're gonna get? Is that gonna offset what happens on the pitch? Is that gonna offset mainly what happens on the pitch, if we're gonna be completely honest? Is that gonna offset how much you lose? Are we going to bring in somebody who's going to replace him during this time frame with that money? No, we're not. So, like, over the year, if you go for the whole year, is that 40 million going to be? It's not. So unless you're, and it also sets a bad precedent, being like, you can just come for our players at the end of their contract and get them at a cut price. Like, I think United should stand firm and be like, listen, man, cool. If you want to go next year, Pogba, if there's one thing I'll say, is he's been professional. He's always played well. Like, he's played when he's been healthy. I heard what Daniel said. You're right. Half the time he's injured or whatnot. But when he's played, he's been playing well, for the most part. Sometimes he has off days, but he hasn't had a good team around him. We know that. Like, if there's one thing we can say, is Paul Pogba has not played with great players, and Paul Pogba needs to play with great players. That's just the type of player he is. He's a luxury player. He can't carry a team all by himself. So with a team now with Sancho, maybe another DM in front and a good center back, he might elevate his game even more and help us win something. And then go on about your business. I truly believe if you're going to take a cut price, take it in January then, and then take 20 million. I don't think the 40. I don't think I'm just saying it's not a big. To me, it's not a big enough number that I'm seeing.
I'm on the same train as you. I've been like this for a little while now. Like, what is the opportunity cost of rejecting a £50 million deal this summer? £50 million is going to get you what? Let's say you said, okay, we're supposed to go out and get a defensive midfielder regardless if Pogba leaves. So I don't want to hear, if Pogba goes, then we can go and get a DM. Because if Pogba signed a new contract tomorrow, we'd still need a DM. So that 50 million is money that's going anywhere. Forget that, or whatever, how much it's going to cost to go and get, say, a Ruben Neves or something like that. Now, is the 50 million that you get going to propel you with a DM to a league title? Or is Paul Pogba more likely to propel you towards a league title? And I would rather win a Premier League and lose Pogba on a free than sell Pogba for Saul Niguez and hope that we can put in a title challenge. Because Saul Niguez alone ain't going to drag us to a Premier League title. He's not a Paul Pogba replacement. I think unless you're getting 70 million with obviously 1 year left in his contract, which we're probably not going to get, lose him on a free. The reality is when we signed him, he signed a 6-year deal, or 5+1. 5+1. So we have said, you are our player for 6 years. If he goes after 6 years, we've got, financially speaking, everything out of him. That's what we signed, and this is what he signed up to. And if he leaves for free, he leaves for free. You know how it works in finance. His value would have been depreciated across the 6 years. When he leaves at the end of it, his value is zero. Now, of course, yes, we could have got 50 million from the year before, but to what end? What, to finish third? Like, I'd rather keep him. I'd rather keep him.
Yeah.
Go on, yourself. Just very quickly, it's a very quick question back to you guys, because obviously this is the focus of the transfer market. If my club don't want to make any transfers, I think you have to look at it like this. The question I have to you guys is, because I just want to get into the nitty gritty. We know all the stuff about Pogba. We know all the context. There's context. But surely you have to accept, as Man United fans, you didn't get the return that you had hoped for if he was to leave next year, or even if he was to leave this year or even next year.
I think, do you know what? I've said it before about Pogba. I disagree with some. I loved how Marvin spoke. I don't agree with all the things that he said, but I have made a concerted effort on the terrace to not try and rip apart every single call I disagree with, because I'm going to give myself a heart attack. Getting old. But for me, I've been really impressed with Paul Pogba the majority of the time he's been here. The most upsetting thing for me is I wish we were signing him now with the squad that we're now building. I think when you look back and you actually reflect, not how you felt at the time, but hindsight's, of course, a lucrative commodity. When you look back at the squads he was part of, the management he was under, like we wasted like 2.5 years under Jose with how that got. And it's just taken time to rebuild from that position of crumbling under Oli. And we're now at a point where we all start to feel like we can challenge. In terms of selling him this summer, I actually agree that taking a cut price, I think Pogba could be worth 40, 50 million pounds to us this year. I think he could be worth that on the field of play in terms of title challenges, Champions League runs, winning a trophy. He could be worth that to us from a footballing sense. So I would maybe look to keep him. When you maybe do look to move him on, is if a deal like Goretzka can be done. If Goretzka turns out tomorrow and says to Bayern Munich, I will not be signing, I'm going to leave for free, they're suddenly in the same boat as Man United. So if we can do a deal where Pogba leaves for 50 and we sign Goretzka for 50, again, you're exchange-wise, you're at zero. I'm not using that word net spend. Exchange-wise, you actually, it's exactly the same transaction. I'm happy to do that because I think Leon Goretzka, I don't think he's as good as Paul Pogba, but he's a legitimate replacement. And then if you then brought in that kind of role, equally as well, if we can afford Ruben Neves right now as the CDM, but we can't afford Saúl Ñíguez, but if we sell Pogba, we can afford Saúl Ñíguez, again, then I would be supportive of Paul Pogba leaving. It's all about who the replacement for him is, in my opinion, because there is that train of thought of, well, actually, let's bring in a player now that we can start to again, for us as a club, you want to build a midfield around, but it has to be someone of a Saúl Ñíguez or a Leon Goretzka level. I think you start going below that, and you're suddenly getting close to Fred and McTominay levels, and we've already got them. So what's the difference?
Can I pull on something you said there too? Because if we go after a player like Goretzka, then I think like you're never going to get a player like Paul Pogba in, right? That's the whole point of him being irreplaceable. Like he really is. There aren't other players like him in the world. But United have to go in a different direction, I think, in the midfield if you do let Pogba go. It can't be, because we're already saying it's hard to have Bruno and Pogba in the same team. Okay, cool. So that means you want somebody who's going to be more strong on the ball, who's going to keep the ball, who's going to move, who still has some creativity, but it's like a Verratti type player, right? Where that adds a bit more balance to your team. You still allow Bruno to do what he's doing, because I don't care what people have been saying with, Bruno's got – anybody who said Bruno has to go just isn't watching and doesn't pay attention. But you've added Sancho for creativity on the right. So you've added width. So now we're going to at least have width, and that opens up things for Rashford. You go and get that midfielder like a Goretzka or a Saúl, like who can do some defensive work, who like they are strong in possession. You don't have to worry about them that much. It's not like a Paul Pogba where we all know, like, I have no beef with Pogba as a first-person player. I think what he's done here, like, I agree with you. The time that he's been here, I've been mostly happy with him. Daniel, I think where the problem lies is we didn't keep up our end of the deal with Pogba. Like, Pogba probably thought we were going to sign all the best players and United were going to be back on, he was going to be able to lead that charge. We didn't do that. So it's not on Paul Pogba. So I look at it as go and get, like you said, either Goretzka. If you can get Saúl, that's cool, but he's not enough on his own. So you would need a Ñíguez, or you'd need Ñíguez and a Neves. And then maybe cool, then you sell Pogba. But if you don't do those combinations, like I think we're all saying here, you keep Paul Pogba, because Paul Pogba at the end of the day is a winner. He wants to win. He wants to be able to say, I won everywhere. I've done it. He's not going to go out there and play terribly. He's not going to do that. He's not going to loaf. People talk about his jogging or whatever. They don't understand how sport works. Like, he doesn't have the stamina to run all game, so he's smart with how he does it. And he still does cover more fit ground than most of our midfielders when you look at the numbers. So I'm in the camp of 70 million. Cool. Sell him. That's enough. I think 70 million is a fair price, because that's what 20 million less than what you paid for him 5 years ago. Cool. That's fine. But if you're talking 45, that just makes us look like it does make us look pretty chumpy in a sense where
that's weaker than losing him on a free.
Exactly. It makes us look weak.
Free.
And I don't want to.
What if Pogba says he wants to leave though? You accept the 40 million, right?
He's never done that though, right? He's never come out and been like.
I think that's a fair question. That's a fair question, Dan. I think what I would say is a lot of I trust this. Just it feels right. Pogba doesn't dislike Man United. He doesn't dislike Oli. I think if he stays for another year, whenever you've read the comments around that he's happy to stay, it's not extend, it's to stay. So I think if he can't go this year because the deal can't be done, I think he gives his all. And you know what? I mean, look, maybe we just maybe once we know what's happening, the squad knows what's happening, there's almost a release of pressure and there's just a relaxation and go and play your game. I'm resigned to the fact of losing him. I'm sad to be losing him. I agree with a lot of the things that like he's Pogba FC think about him going. I'm actually happy he's going, to fulfill his dreams. I think we're going to miss him in certain areas. But do I think the club's done and dusted? No. Are there people that can replace him? And like Pam, I've been saying it for days. I agree with you. We need to stop again with the key stage 1 level football thought. There is no like-for-like replacement for Paul Pogba. So you go in a different direction and build your midfield in a different way. And that's why I'm confident that, of course, we'll see it through. Because even if we sign him on a new deal, in 5 years' time he retires, then what? Then are we dead? Then are we finished as a club? Honestly, it's one of those things. Sometimes I'd love to put people in, just ban them from talking football when they come out with that kind of stuff. It's crazy. Listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you. We've got big Tottenham news coming tomorrow morning. Not just about Romero, big Tottenham and Man City news. That's all I'm going to be saying for you. I've already had a story confirmed, so we're going to be going live with that in the morning. I'm sure there's going to be more Pogba talk tomorrow because all the papers are going to go live with I've just seen the back page of the Mirror tomorrow morning. It's actually quite a good. The one thing I don't like tabloids as such, but their headlines are always banging. It's Pogba says goodbye, but all the letters are red as PSG. And also pulling on the fact that in his training photos online, his hat is red, white, and blue. They always go back these subliminals in these pictures. He put that hat on to say he's going back to Paris and back to France. Who knows? Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But make sure you're smashing the like button. Sign up to our new notification group. The link for that is literally the first thing you'll come to in our description below. So go and sign up to that now and get yourselves into that group and never miss another Football Terrace stream. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Goodbye, God bless, and we'll see you all again